This is way more technology than I would know what to do with.
Yeah, I just sit back and let Cliff figure out the. Yeah. All right, we'll keep rolling here. All right, so we got our show's about a half hour. So we want to talk first and foremost about you a little bit. Like we want to know, let's go all the way back. Like first time you picked up a stick, when you fell in love with the game, and just maybe some memories that you have kind of growing up, just playing the sport of lacrosse that you love.
Yeah, so I grew up in a very athletic household. It's just myself and my younger sister. She's 2 years younger. She actually plays at Stony Brook now. She's a senior. And then my mom and my dad. My mom and my dad both played sports all growing up. So when we were younger, it was always we were outside playing sports, whatever kind of ball we could get our hands on, anything. So we were swimmers. We played basketball. We played soccer. And then it was time to kind of pick a spring sport around third grade. And myself and my best friend, Hannah, she actually played Division I at Furman University.
Cool.
We picked up the stick at the same time, along with my sister, tried out our first PAL practice. We had, like, tennis rackets for sticks. It's so funny. We still have the picture, and, like, the shaft has sunflowers on it and everything. It's hilarious to look back at now. But, yeah, we picked up the stick, tried our first practice, and loved it ever since. Fifth grade, I tried out for Yellow Jackets, and that's when I kind of knew that, lacrosse was going to become my passion and something that I wanted to work really hard at.
What town did you grow up in when you were like in second, third, fourth grade?
Yeah, so I lived in Islip all my life. Yeah, I grew up in Islip. I played PAL there. I played through high school there, and then I played for Yellow Jackets as well.
When did like you and your sister know like, hey, like, and what was that moment where you're like, hey, I want to take this like really seriously, take it to the next level, like I think I want to get really, really good at the sport of lacrosse.
Yeah, I think what my main thing was when I picked up a lacrosse stick was I was so excited about how much room there was for all the different things that I could do with the stick, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of times when you play a sport, it's just kind of like, okay, like learn how to dribble in basketball or, okay, learn how to kick a soccer ball. But with the stick, there was just all this room for all this different creativity and different things that I could try with it. Like, oh, I could play against the wall. Like, that's so exciting. So I was young, and all that, like, interest was really intriguing to me. And just kind of as I started to play with the stick a little bit more, it was, really cool to try new things. And that was when I kind of realized, okay, now I want to, like, try new things and become great at them.
Mm-hmm.
And as I got older, once I started trying out for Yellow Jackets and things like that, 5th, 6th grade, that's when I kind of realized, like, okay, this is my main sport. I'm going to continue to play other sports because I love them, and I think it's really important to be a well-rounded athlete. But at the same time, I know that lacrosse is what I am going to dream to do with, I don't know if it's going to be my life at this point, but I know that I'm going to try and be the best that I can at lacrosse.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, you probably fell a little bit for the sport, not just because of the challenge side of things and the creativity, but there was just probably like a little bit of a spiritual connection where it's like wow, like this stick has like I can create power, like I can be powerful with this thing. Like if I get good at it, I could do some amazing things. I know, like you said, maybe you weren't just thinking about like all the things you're doing now, which we'll get to, but just to start as like a young athletic kid in an athletic household, it's like, wow, like there's a lot I can do with this, like this little tool I have in my hand.
Absolutely. I still call it, like now when I'm teaching young girls, I still call the stick my magic wand.
Cool.
So it's funny that you said the powers thing. But,
yeah.
It's so true. There's so much room for creativity and different things, and still to this day I've been playing for 16 years now, and I'm still learning new stick tricks and different things like that, and it's still all the more exciting to me. So
let's fast forward middle school, high school. Now you're getting up to the point where it's like, okay, you're starting to think about, all right, I got to make the varsity and maybe want to earn a starting spot. Talk a little bit about your high school experience at Islip.
Yeah, so in middle school, 7th grade, I actually got to play up with the JV team, which was a great experience for me because I got to kind of get used to playing up a little bit. And then in 8th grade, I actually got moved up to varsity. So I played varsity for 5 years of my high school career, which was incredible because I was a 12-year-old getting to play with, almost 18-year-old girls and, just learning from them and their leadership and everything like that, and just going through each year of kind of learning from the seniors and the juniors and how they carried themselves and how they played out on the field and what the expectations were from the coaches and things like that. That's where my leadership started to develop, I think. And, just from a playing standpoint, it was it was really cool to be able to try and prove myself as the youngest girl out on the field.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't just the youngest one on my team. I was the youngest one on the field when we were playing games, you know.
Sure.
I did have a handful of, Yellow Jackets friends that were also playing up on their teams, but we were young out there, and it was exciting to be competing with older girls and just trying to prove ourselves, and forced us to work a little bit harder off the field when we were, not at practice or behind the scenes. We wanted to make sure we could keep up with the old guys.
Sure. So some success early on. I'm sure you had some success throughout high school as well. Do you have any setbacks when you were in high school?
Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone has setbacks in their own way, and everyone has their own story, their own journey. When I was in high school, I had a couple injuries. One was right before, like, my big recruiting summer, which this was before.
Back then was probably going into like 9th or 10th grade.
I did have a couple of friends that were committed by 8th grade, 9th grade. For me, the big summer was 9th going into 10th grade.
Yeah.
So I got hurt my 9th grade year, and I missed my 9th grade high school season. Going into that summer was when I was first coming back, and I was definitely not at my best. And that was, when everyone was starting to get their looks, and I wasn't getting the looks that I personally wanted for my own dreams, you know. And compared to the other girls on my Yellow Jackets team, they were getting the top 10 schools, and I was getting, not so top 10 schools. Yes, they were still Division I, and I'm still completely grateful for it, and it was such a great experience. And then Stony Brook came around, and it was the biggest blessing that I didn't realize at the time, but now I do.
I want to talk about that in a sec. The first thing is, though, because I feel like with setbacks, sometimes it's not always as much physical as it was mental. For you, was it more of like, hey, physically I'm not where I need to be, or is it like, I think I'm good, but like I'm not really sure because mentally I'm like hesitant, I'm not playing my game, maybe I'm not doing the things that I thought I was capable of doing, and I'm referring to kind of like that summer when you were like about to get recruited and all that good stuff. So for you, like, what was the obstacle? Was it like the mental or physical side of things?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of both, and I say that in a way where I think my injury allowed myself to make excuses for the way that I wasn't playing my best. Because I was no longer hurt. I was fine. I was rehabbed. I was playing to 100% ability, but I wasn't playing to my full potential. And I think that's where, like you mentioned, it's the mental aspect of it and the mentality and kind of making excuses. Oh, I'm not playing as well because I was hurt, and that's why. It's not that. And I think I wish I had a better grasp on what I was trying to do that summer, and working a little bit harder to get myself in better shape, or doing a little bit extra, whatever it might have been, to just take that next level. But I think ultimately I'm grateful for how my recruiting process did pan out, because I ended up at my home, and I ended up being able to learn those things at Stony Brook and learn those things throughout my career going through high school and college.
What did Joe Spallina see in you that maybe some other coaches didn't when you were younger?
Everything. No, when I was being recruited, he kind of came up to me, and my first big thing was that I wanted to go away to school and, get away from Long Island, get away from home, and just get the whole college experience, quote unquote. But when he came up to me, I was like, okay, I'm just going to go on the visit. I just know Stony Brook as the school down the road, the stadium down the road that Counties is played in. That's all I knew it as. And when I got there, I saw it was a beautiful campus, obviously an incredible stadium. And the big thing for me was he was able to sit me down at a desk like this, just like this. I was 15 years old at the time. Me and my dad were in the room, and he pretty much laid out all my dreams on the table for me. I didn't even know they were my dreams yet, but he pretty much painted them all out. He was like, you're going to be a Twerton finalist. We're going to be a top 10 program. We're going to be number 1 in the country. You're going to be on the cover of magazines. We're going to do Team USA. We're going to do this, this, this. We're going to be a national contender as a program. We're going to take this thing from here to here, and we're going to do it together. So naturally, like the competitor, the lacrosse player, the dreamer that I am, I'm going to look this man in the face and say, yeah, okay, like I'll come here, I'll buy into that. And that's what I did. And, it obviously worked out for the best, and it's continuing to work out. And I think, what I've learned from that is that him being able to show that belief in someone's potential, that's something that I try to take into what I do now and with the next generation and with the girls that I get to coach is, I can see your potential. Here's what we need to do about it in order to get to where you need to get, you know, type of thing. And here's what we're going to do together in order to reach these goals. And that's something that, you know, I'm obviously forever grateful to him for. And, you know, just believing in that and believing in what our program could do as well. I mean, every single one of us bought into that vision for 4+ years and, you know, took it from a 70th ranked team in the nation, to number 1 for 3 months my senior year.
Sure.
You know?
It's incredible. It's incredible when you think about it because of where they were and to where they went. I mean, can you think of another program? I can't think of another program in any sport that has ever done that. Gone from 70th in Division I sports to 1, and it was a vision of, you know, one man or one, and bringing all
One
these
program,
girls into.
And I just love how like he kept it so local. You know, there's like
Yeah, and that was
right
another
in the
big thing.
backyard. You know,
Mhm.
like not many schools could do that.
Yeah, and Long Island is so heavily invested in lacrosse, and it's such a hotbed for it. So why not create this team where, you know, Long Island lacrosse can rally around it and be able to say that Stony Brook is Long Island's team, you know, like a home team rather than, you know, before we got there, this was something that we always talked about, was before we got there, people and fans and lacrosse fans would go to the Stony Brook games to watch the Florida that was
Yeah.
playing against Stony
Correct.
Brook or watch the Maryland that was playing
Yeah.
against Stony Brook. Now they go to every single game, doesn't matter who the opponent is,
Yeah.
because they're Stony Brook fans.
Totally.
You know, they're Stony Brook lacrosse
Show that
fans.
picture.
Yeah, it's
This
actually
one.
the second one, Frank.
No, the other one. That one.
Yeah.
Look at the crowd.
That kinda
in the
tells it all.
background of this picture.
This
And the
stadium-
girls.
This stadium
Women's.
holds thousands, and you can't even find a seat. Like I love
That's
that.
on like a
picture.
Sunday, probably 12 o'clock game.
I mean,
You know, that actually might be Mother's Day. We used to have the biggest
That's
crowds
Stony
on
Brook.
Mother's Day.
that's Stony Brook
That's their
University.
home field. I mean, they built in national power. I mean, for those that don't know it,
I mean, can you find a better? You know, like I have a young daughter now. If she's into lax, which would be great. If not, you know, whatever. But like, if she came to me and it was like, can we go to a Stony Brook game today? I'd be like, yes. Like, what? I can't think of anything else to do. Like, that'd be
Exactly.
awesome in a
Exactly.
second.
And that's what's so cool about it, is that's what those girls want to do on their
Yeah.
free time. And you see them come and they have their jerseys on because they just came from their game.
Yeah.
Some of them come with their eye black on and
Yeah.
everything like that. And
you
it's,
started the eye black.
I didn't start anything. I just, you know, I just wear it and I try to make it look good. But
No, you're
the
known for
girls
that.
look better
You're
in
known
it.
for that.
Yeah, but there's a reason too that you're known for. You know, whether listen, like at the end of the day, you're a leader in the sport. So when you do something, people are gonna look towards you and they're gonna follow you, and that's a result of just who you are as a person, in my opinion. Because like I think today, and we talked about this, which we'll get into, like why you know the people that sponsor you and support you have been so good to you. They let you be you. And I think today more than anything, like authenticity is everything. And I think people see through a lot, especially the younger generations, like with you know, with the rise of social media and like, you know, it's very hard to fake who you are and what you're about. And I think for you, you're just a prime example of a genuine, authentic leader in a sport who's doing all these great things and representing all these great qualities that I think girls look up to. And I think that's why the eye black is just the surface. I think everything underneath it is like, oh, here's someone who, you know, persevered, you're gritty, you're hardworking, you know, you're humble, and you do it in a way where you're also one of the more competitive, you know, successful lacrosse players out there. So like to be all those things in one, I think that's what the eye black represents. So I think that's the cool part about
You
it.
see our girls. Our
And-
girl come like little
love those
DeRusso. Little
pictures.
DeRusso.
Love it, yeah. She, Kylie featured one of our little tests. This was like back
Oh,
in the summer.
yes,
You
Tess,
remember
yep,
her?
mhm.
Yeah, she
And she's
played-
like this?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. She's like posing.
She was
Love it.
all fierce. I love that. But
Yeah, she
I
just won
appreciate
the-
you putting it in that perspective, because I've never
Yeah.
really thought about it that way. But
Yeah, it's you know, but
you.
also too, like, you know, we talk about local, like Stony Brook lacrosse becoming national. And Joe told me this interesting story the other day about, I was like, hey man, like how's the recruiting going with the, he's like, it's crazy. And he told me a story about this one. It was one of the better like Maryland clubs, you know, like the Skywalkers or whatever, like were watching a Stony Brook game, and there was one girl in particular that was like rooting for Stony Brook, and her teammates were giving her a hard time, like, you can't root for a Long Island team, like come on. She was like, no, like I like how they play
How
and
they
I like their
play, yeah.
style, and like it's starting to change. There's like people other than just Long Island fans that are saying like there's something to Stony Brook that's different and I like it, and I think that's kind of cool because now you know like Stony Brook lacrosse as a brand is just becoming more
You know what else has
national.
helped a lot? and this is just my opinion because obviously I grew up watching the men's game more than the women's game.
Mm-hmm.
He's made the women's game fun to watch.
Yeah.
A lot like Gary has in Syracuse,
Mm-hmm.
to be fair. You know, and I'm not saying it has to be a man. I mean, Maryland's awesome to watch too, don't get me wrong.
Totally, yeah.
Absolutely.
But it is fun. Like, how you ride, like, you know, being a lacrosse enthusiast and loving the game like I do, like the way Stony Brook tries to get the ball back,
Yeah.
or just, you know, after a shot, a save, whatever, is unbelievable. Like,
How much
it's
it means, yeah.
tenacious.
Yeah.
And I love that. I think the shot clock helps
Yeah.
when Joe
Absolutely.
plays.
Absolutely. I mean, shot clock helps the whole game in general
Yes.
and just makes it so much more fun to watch, if not to play as well.
Yeah.
Just a faster,
Yeah.
grittier game. Forces you to make quick decisions and
Let's,
obviously makes the end of tight games fun too.
Well, we
Yeah.
had Reggie Thorpe on the other day. You know, Reggie was the assistant over at,
Yeah.
and he was talking about the game he lost to Northwestern where they stalled out the game at Stony Brook.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you were at that game.
Yep. I was there.
I was
Isn't
too.
that crazy?
I was at that game too, and,
Yeah.
and it drove me bananas.
Mm-hmm.
So
Drove us all bananas. yeah.
it hurt the game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I
but-
think that's, that's ultimately some of those games that you look back on and you're like,
Yeah.
now with the shot clock being a couple years in, it's crazy to look back and say that's how we used to play,
Yeah.
because now we're so used to it being that quick.
High
and-
school
Yeah,
game
it's
needs it
evolving.
bad.
yeah, they're gonna
Bad.
get it, I think, and I think it's gonna be great for them
Yeah.
because I agree.
Because it's hurting trying to get that, that stud basketball player who loves the,
Up and down.
Yeah,
You want to, I mean, we're thinking Long Island where everybody plays.
Mm-hmm.
How about in other communities that they don't play? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Can
Absolutely.
before we get into post Stony Brook, can you just talk about what the experience was like playing with your sister in college? Because I think that was kind of unique. Like also playing the same position, a lot of success while you were still in college, and maybe just talk about your relationship there because I think there are a lot of other girls now. A little example. I was just talking to a dad today. His daughter is a junior, just committed to college, and I was just congratulating him because we train her a little bit, and they're a good family, and she has a younger sister who's in 5th grade, and like the school that her older sister is committed to, she's like, I want to go there.
Yep.
And I think like they see relationships like you and your sister, and I think it trickles down. So maybe if you can talk about that, that'd be great.
Yeah, it was really, really special because at first she was actually verbally committed somewhere else and then saw that I was having a good time at Stony Brook and, just how awesome it was to be so close to home. Mom and Dad could come to every game.
Mm-hmm.
And she ended up, turning her decision towards Stony Brook and joining me for 2 years. And it was, the best thing ever. We, on the field, it's like, it's just telepathy. It's just connection. There were so many plays I can think of at least 3 right now where like I would just chuck the ball just knowing where she was going to be and like anyone else that probably would have turned into a turnover, but my sister, it's just like we kind of know how each other play. We've been doing it forever in the backyard, in the living room, sorry mom, but like everywhere that we go. So it was special, and it's really cool to be able to so much of our effort and so much of our energy each and every day at that level goes into trying to win a national championship and doing everything possible to make sure that you're ready for that biggest game of
Yeah.
your life. Being able to do that alongside not only your younger sister but your best friend,
Yeah.
it like makes it all the more special. So all those moments on the field where assist to goal or goal to assist or even turnover in the ride, whatever it was, it
Yeah.
was like exciting with your teammate, but times 10 with a teammate who's your sister, knowing that mom's crying in the stands somewhere.
It's so true.
I would be too.
I would be too.
Yeah, we
That's
did too a
Did
little
you
bit.
Did you coach her growing up?
No, not really, because we always used to kind of play together for the most part. If anything, she would usually play up or anything like
Gotcha.
that.
You coach her now, I guess, right?
I coach her now though,
So that's unique,
it's a cool dynamic though, because it's we kind of have always worked well together in listening to each other and how we play and like, hey, you should try being here next time, or try cutting through on this one next time. So it's more of like kind of talking to her as if I was out on the field with her a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting dynamic. It was interesting to get used to at first, but
Yeah.
it's fun to be around her and just kind of see her grow as a leader. And now she's a senior, and it's so cool to be able to see all that.
So at what point was it, when you graduated or while you were in college, which I'm sure was a whirlwind, just kind of going through it, and maybe didn't seem real at times, were you like, hey, wait, like maybe I can like keep lacrosse in my life forever, keep playing, become a pro athlete, and just like go full head of steam? Was it, during college or maybe after?
Yeah, it was during college, actually, when the first professional league came out. Because when I went into college, there was no professional lacrosse. So the highest level you could get to was, hopefully Team USA and, Division I college. So after college, it was just known that you were technically done, and that was the highest you could get to. So that was my goal, and I was just kind of going through school, figuring that I would probably be a coach somewhere, staying in lacrosse, but not knowing what else I could possibly do with it.
Be a college coach?
Exactly. So kind of halfway through when I realized, wow, I could play lacrosse professionally. Like, I could continue to play. And, I'm starting to, see the wrath of all the things that I'm doing with all the training and all the girls that I'm getting to, work with on the side and everything like that. Maybe I could turn this into something. I started to think about what I could do, and KO17 lacrosse kind of formed out of that. And now it's pretty incredible to say that I can make lacrosse my career and not necessarily have to be just college coaching is the only route for that.
Right.
We can.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah, because growing up, and I always tell this story. Growing up, you'd have the piece of paper in class, or the teacher would ask you, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And you'd say, "Oh, I want to play lacrosse," or "I want to be a professional lacrosse player." And the teacher would be like, "Well, Kylie, like, that's not a thing. Like, you can't do that." But now little girls can do that.
Yeah.
They can say, like, "I want to play in the WPLL. I want to play lacrosse."
Yeah.
And you can thank people, and we'll talk about the young lady who we saw yesterday, Carol Rose, for that. Because without those people, without the Carols of the world, we wouldn't be talking about this.
Absolutely.
And obviously Joe's helped, and Gary's helped, and Coach Taylor, who's now at Colgate, helped. And it doesn't matter the level of lacrosse, but what's great is people have to realize that those are the trailblazers. Absolutely. That's given these opportunities for people like yourself.
Absolutely.
And look at Taylor Cummings. She's coaching McDonough. I mean, she's got a career, and is she running a club? I don't even know.
She does the same thing that I do as well. She runs clinics all over the country, Taylor Cummings Lacrosse.
Got it.
So she's coaching the youth all over the place, and it's really cool. It's really incredible to see so many of us doing it now. But like you said, it's all in tribute to all the coaches and all the players that, trailblaze as well, that are college coaches now and that have done so much for not only women's lacrosse, but women's sports in general. So it's, really incredible to be able to do that now. And we want to be able to push it forward more for the girls who are, your daughter's age, who can grow up and do even more with it.
Cool. Let's talk a little bit. We have about 5 minutes, so let's talk about Team USA.
Sure.
What was the process like just initially? Like, at what point were you like, all right, I obviously want to try out for the USA team. How do I go about doing it? How do I apply? When do I start trying out? And then let's lead into, like, what's happening this weekend for those of the viewers that are watching that don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. So my junior year at Stony Brook, this was back before the 2017 World Cup. So this was a different group of coaches and different group of leading into that World Cup. So they did invites to a tryout every year based on kind of like college play and everything that they could do, that they could see. So I got invited before my junior year, that summer, before my junior year. And I ended up making the cut for that, and then I ended up going through a couple training weekends with them throughout that year. And then before the 2017 World Cup, I didn't make the final roster. But for me, it was an incredible experience because I had never gotten to meet any of those players, nonetheless be able to play with them and just kind of see, how the highest level of lacrosse is played and what it takes to, wear USA across your chest and how big of an honor it is. So it was the best blessing for me. And then after the 2017 World Cup, they went on to win the World Cup and the World Games, which was really, really awesome. And then this past fall of 2018 is when they started the whole new round for the 2021 World Cup. So there's a big pool of players that you get invited to training weekends and things like that. So that's what's happening this upcoming weekend down at US Lacrosse in Sparks, Maryland. The senior national team, women's and men's, and then the U19 women's and men's, then the U17 and U15 women's and men's. All those teams are going to be there playing against Canada and Maryland and University of Virginia on the men's side. So we're really excited about that, and I'm super, super grateful to be able to, put the jersey back on and get to play with some of the best players in the world.
When's the last time you put the USA jersey on?
June was the last training weekend we had.
Okay.
Before that, it was January, and before that, it was last November and last October.
So, like,
So
just
it's every
because
couple
those
months.
opportunities are kind of, like, few and far between, does it mean, like, that much more when you put that jersey on to play?
Absolutely. I think, now that post-collegiately, that's been the toughest thing to get used to is
Yeah.
you don't get to play every single day.
Mhm.
And you get, a couple opportunities every couple months or, even in the summer with WPLL, we play 6 games. So you get, like, those opportunities, and it's obviously really incredible to be able to play in those opportunities. It's so much fun. And But, yeah, they definitely make them all the more special, and you train that much harder for them for those 3 months that you don't get to touch the field. You train just as hard. And I think, no matter what, when you put the red, white, and blue on, it's going to be,
Yeah.
it's the most incredible privilege
gotta
and
be like
honor.
chills.
And,
Yeah.
every single time you're, it will never, ever get old. And I'm so blessed to be
Yeah.
able to be doing that this weekend, say
Cool.
that it's game week.
Who are some of the other players that are playing, that are in that pool of women?
So other names that you might know, like Taylor Cummings, Marie McCool.
That's Mikey's sister. You know that?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Played at Carolina, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. She's my age. And then, like Alice Mercer, Meg Dowdy, Liz Hogan. Just thinking of some other
Now, the
names. Who else?
U19 is the
Katrina
same
Dowd,
team that
Kayla
just won the
Trainer,
gold?
Michelle Tumalo. Yeah, yes. I'm not sure how exactly the rosters
Because
are
a lot
going
of
to
those
look.
girls are in college. I was wondering, like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure
Like
how
Casey,
exactly each of the rosters are
like
going to look,
Trauma.
but I'm excited to see how much talent is going to be in one area this weekend. It's going to be really cool, and
yeah,
I think it's all being streamed on Lax Sportsnet.
yeah.
But
Sweet.
for the people at home.
Yeah, they are our BYG show on there, which is great. So
Awesome.
we have a good relationship with those guys.
Yeah,
They're
they're
good
great.
They do a
guys.
nice job.
Yeah, they're great.
So let's talk a little bit about, as we kind of finish up here, your relationship with like New Balance and Warrior and the people who have supported you. And if Frank, if you don't mind, can you just pull up that last picture there?
Before we,
Can you talk about who's in this picture, where was this taken, and what did that day kind of mean to you as a pro lacrosse player and pro athlete?
So from left to right, that is Kamika, Emma Checker, that's me, and then there's Marie McCool. Kamika is a Canadian Olympic sprinter. Emma Checker is a Australian soccer player.
Cool.
And Marie is obviously another WPLL star. So it was really cool. We're all New Balance sponsored athletes. And what they did for us is they invited us to be a part of the New Balance fall catalog.
Wow.
So, just the regular magazine that shows up at everybody's door just to say, hey, like, look at the new stuff that we have this year. Like, we're the models for a couple
Cool.
That's
pages,
so
which
awesome.
is really insane and such a big honor. But it came along with the story of, how we talked about how being women in sports and being girls in sports is so powerful, and our stories behind that and our experiences behind that. And so we got a little clip in the catalog and everything like that. So it was really special just to be around other women that and I'm lucky to be able to do this all the time now with my job and playing professional lacrosse and being a professional athlete. It's really incredible to be able to be surrounded by all these really strong women and be able to be yourself. And every little girl out there has a female role model to look up to that they can connect with the most, right?
Sure.
So for some little girl, it might be my eye black that they want to connect with. That's awesome. For some other little girl, it might be something that Marie McCool does on the field that they want to connect with. That's awesome. It might be my style that they want to connect with. Like, that's awesome. So it's cool that we get to be able to do that and show that on social media, show that through our sponsors and the things that they're allowing us to do, show that through the WPLL
Yeah.
and Team USA and everything like that. And it's just, all about that exposure for those girls to be able to say, like, hey, I want to be like that when I grow up. And I think that's so important is to have more and more females being confident in, who they are and being able to say, like, hey, yeah, be like me when you grow up, or be you when you grow up.
Sure.
And be confident in that.
I gotta tell you, the apparel is really, really nice. Have you seen some of the New Balance stuff that Kylie like rocks? I was just looking at your
I
Instagram,
only
like
saw that picture. That
it's
was
like
it.
really, it's like cool and like sporty, and it's like
Yeah.
looks like cozy. Some of the stuff, it's good for the fall. Like I'm gonna get Ashley some of that. I gotta.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta shoot me that catalog.
Absolutely. I'll show you the catalog. Yeah,
Yeah.
we can do that. They have some great stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kylie discount.
Yeah. Kylie 20.
We'll go on the app right now if you want.
17, you get 17% off.
I like it. That'd be a good promo to run.
That would be
Right?
good promo.
He was in the garment industry 20 years. He's got some ideas.
I would love it.
17% off for KO17.
Right? You got to wear eye black to wear it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to send a selfie of yourself wearing eye black.
I love it.
Very cool. So, yeah, we're unfortunately out of time. And we could do this all night.
Yeah, we can talk
This is
lax
good.
all day.
We'll bring you back.
I could too. Yeah, it's okay.
We rolled out a podcast, so we're gonna have you come to the office. When you're in the office, we'll get you on the podcast.
Awesome. I love podcasts.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
We're a fan too. So, yeah, I mean, one thing I always like to kind of like finish our show with, if there's maybe like one piece of advice you can give to like a young girl who's just like looks up to you or is kind of like holding on to every word, what would it be for someone that's watching this?
Yeah, I think something that I say, and this is my slogan for KO17 Lacrosse, is dare to dream big. And I think it's, a mixture of, find something that you're passionate about, whatever it is. It could be lacrosse. It could be something completely different. And chase after it with everything you've got. And when I say everything, I mean everything. Like put your all into it every single day. Whether it's, I like to set goals for myself. If it's a daily goal, I like to be able to check it off at the end of the day. If it's, a goal that's 5 years down the line, I like to make sure that each and every day I'm doing something that's taking me one step closer to that goal. So I think if you can kind of put your goals in line and, maybe if it is, I want to be a professional lacrosse player one day, that's awesome. And I love to hear that. Make sure you're putting in the work each and every day to, hopefully be able to do that. See those dreams on the horizon, but make sure you're putting in the work to do it.
Cool. Well, we appreciate you coming on the show, Kylie. You were great.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Cheese and spaghetti. I didn't at all promote next week.
What are we doing next week, by the way?
I think he's coming. I don't know.
Who's that, the U.S. Club guy?